Hello, today we are going to graph the rational function x squared plus 6x plus 8 divided by x squared minus 4. So when we begin, essentially we just take the fraction or the function and we basically just simplify it down by factoring both the denominator and the numerator. So when we factor the top, we should get x plus 2 and x plus 4 for the top, and then for the bottom we can tell that it's a difference of squares, which basically means x plus 2 and then x minus 2. And then as you can see, we have two terms on the top and bottom which are the same, which means they will then cancel each other out, which then reduces the fraction to x plus 4 and x minus 2. So then we have to determine the wholes of the function, which is very simple because we know that the wholes are just the terms that cancel each other out, right? So then as you can see, the two terms that cancel each other out are x plus 2 and x plus 2, right? That's the term that cancels itself out, which would then mean the whole would be x equals -2 because you're just solving for x right here. So then we have our x coordinate. In order to find the y coordinate for the wholes, you just substitute it back into the equation, into the simplified equation, and then you should get -1/2. So then as we move on, we need to find the vertical asymptote, which is basically taking the bottom part of the function and you just solve for x, which would then give you 2, right? You're just taking the root. For the horizontal asymptote, essentially you take the original equation or the simplified equation and you divide all the terms by the highest power, and then you solve for you just simplify that, and then you take all the terms that still have an x x variable beside it, and then you just set it to infinity, which would then turn it into 0, and then you just collect like terms, and then you should get 1/1, which then equals 1. For x-intercept, you then set y equal to 0 and then just solve for x, which would then give you x equals -4. For y-intercept, you just take the x equal to 0 and then just solve for y, which would then give you y equal to -2. So now we have that finished. Now we have to determine the behavior of the graph and what the general shape of it's going to look like. So then we just basically take 2 points that are close to the vertical asymptote, right? And then we basically determine that if x approaches the vertical asymptote from the smaller side, you know that the value of y is going to be super negative, right? And then you know that if x approaches the vertical asymptote from the positive side or the larger side, you know that y is going to be very large. And then here, once you've done that, you just take 100 and -100 to determine what the behavior is going to be of x when it approaches the horizontal asymptote from both sides. And then once you've done that, you've just taken extra points here to make your graph more precise, right? And then you just take points here that make the math the most easiest. And then once you've done that, you essentially plot all the points down. So basically what I've done here is I put in a dotted line here as my asymptotes, and then I put a circle here indicating my hole, and then I plot down the extra points here to make sure that the graph is the most precise. And I also have the x and y intercepts, and then I just connected all of this with a nice smooth curve like so, which then gives me my rational graph. Hello, today